So this is the idea that it's, well, it doesn't help to make my carbon market analysis if we don't know what it is. So do you guys believe in supply and demand? That if I have increased, if supply increases, what happens to demand?
Decreases.
Decreases. What does that do to the price? Brings it down. So inherently in believing in supply and demand, you guys believe in markets. Is what that tells me. And when I say believe in, that means that you think if you set a market, that it will correctly set the price, right?
No.
So, what?
No.
So you may not believe in markets. When does it not set the price correctly?
When market failures occur.
And what's a market failure? An example of when a market failure could occur.
I haven't taken economical semesters.
Got it. Common goods. Most traditional type of market failure is a common good. Because I don't own it, so I may not actually get the price that's set by a market. There's lots of environmental examples that are market failures. When markets don't take into the account of, let's say I am a jean producer, and I make a pair of jeans that include acid washing, like it's the 80s again, right? I just let that acid go into the stream, but I know you guys want cheap jeans, I sell it to you at a low price. Market supply and demand says that that price is right. But what I failed to take into account is the cost of the acid that went into the stream. So there is a social cost that's not in my price cost.
It's the externality.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember.
So the idea is that you can use market forces to take into account the externalities or that social cost that wasn't in the price of the jeans. Does that make sense? So what people think they can do is water is a common good. Markets don't work very well for it as they're set up. But if I want to make it work, I can create a water market. I can buy, sell, and trade water rights. That means that the price of water would be set by the demand of you guys in the society. And you could do it on a country level, you could do it on a global level. What it really relies on is, when would it go wrong, basically? When could that, if I set up a market and everyone's happy and the price is being negotiated by us, by the transaction, everyone thinks it's fair, when could that market go wrong? Yeah.
Those countries that aren't as economically viable would get.
Right, so it could lead to big inequalities in water distribution. So as the United States, we have lots of purchasing power, we could buy all the water rights and leave poor countries without water. Which if poor countries don't get good genes, whatever, if poor countries don't have water, we've now caused big problems. The other thing that can happen is, what if I set the number of water rights in the market at a wrong level? What if I put in too many water rights that you can buy and trade? So let's say I use like an example, I'm going to bring in lunch for you guys. And I decide that, I'm going to bring in 25 lunches. There's plenty of lunches. The price isn't going to be very high. But that's too many lunches. I can't afford 25 lunches. There wasn't that much lunch meat in my house. That's the idea. The price would be low, but I would have overtaxed the lunch meat resource at my house. If you set that first level of the market too high, you're going to deplete the water supply. So the idea with the global virtual trading network is that we would trade water rights. We would make an accurate estimation of how much water is available in the world, and we would set up a market that was trading water rights. That would provide you incentive not to use too much water because it would cost you a lot of money. And it would provide some sort of fair way to divide up water. Yeah.
But isn't the problem with that inherently that the countries that would be in charge of setting it up, like in the United Nations, they'd be the ones taking the biggest hit on the water that they could use, I guess.
Yes. So there's lots of challenges of this, and this is someone, if you look at the initial graphs I started where I talked about the amount we use in the United States for water, the United States would have a huge buy-in cost to maintain where we are now, right? However, maybe that's an incentive to conserve in the United States. If we had to buy all the water rights that we use, maybe we'd cut back. So this is sort of the economics setting up market-based trading for common goods. Yeah.
Would that be like a cap and trade system?
Cap and trade is an excellent example of one. So you could do transferable quotas or cap and trade systems. And the idea of cap and trade is that I've set a cap on the number of water rights that are out there, you guys trade underneath that cap. Transferable or tradable quotas is the idea that there's only so many fish or water rights that you could take, and then you can transfer them up. So they're similar but slightly different. This is a pretty innovative solution, but you can see where the pitfalls of it are setting up. One is maybe everyone doesn't want to play either, so they'd have to buy into the network. But there are market-based global solutions that are economically feasible. That's why I wanted to bring that up. The last category I had the second to last category was technology. So I'm going to use a local example. So the Orange County Water District has a pretty progressive plan. They have a horrible name for it, from toilets to tap. Might need some marketing. But the idea is this is the second largest water reclamation facility in the world. People come from all over to see it. It's a fabulous field trip. We should take a class there. It is a combination of microfilters, membranes, and UV lights where they take water from toilets and showers that goes into the water treatment plant. First they remove the floaty bits, so all the solids. And once they remove those, they test it, microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and UV light. By the time it emerges from these three processes, it's actually cleaner than the water that's in most bottled water. And they can put in 70 million gallons of sewage into water. It's almost distilled water quality. So they do a couple things with this. Right now they pump it back upstream to a recharge aquifer, where it goes into a wetland, percolates down into the ground, and recharges our groundwater supply. They also inject it in several wells where it prevents salt water from coming in from the ocean. Remember how we talked about the San Francisco Bay Delta, when you pulled all that water, you had saltwater intrusion? By pumping this down into wells, they're preventing that saltwater intrusion. When you tour their facilities, this is the first step. This is the removing the solids step. You can't actually see any solids, but they bubble it to keep it from smelling awfully. These are the RO filters. These are huge filters that line here. They pump all the water through them. By the time you're done, this is the water that went in, minus the solids. This is the second step, and this is the third basin. And they had you drink right out of this one, and they drink that every day at the facility. So it's a pretty innovative way to take the amount of water we use and produce drinking water. Now, right now, they don't have standards where that can be sold directly as drinking water or pumped directly into the aquifer, but one day they hope to because they're producing such clean water. So it's a pretty innovative solution to it. I also bring up this example because we have a method called the Long Beach desalinization method, which is the idea that we can take salt water, remove the brine from it, and produce drinking water quality. The Long Beach method is a two-filter process. They currently have completed construction of an underfloor ocean intake. And they've been studying the effects of that intake on the seafloor to see if they can see any impacts. It could pump up to 300,000 gallons per day and desalinize all the water that we could then use into all the needs we have. So there are technological solutions to looking at the problem. This is not online yet, it will be soon. And then there's the idea of education, which is sort of what you were getting at before. I've used the Water Department's website. They have all sorts of programs that are getting at this idea of informing the public about how important it is to conserve water. They have residential rebates, so if you install low-flow toilets, low-flow shower heads, you can have rebates. There are commercial rebates for the same sort of products. There's this lawn to garden program, which is part of landscaping. They will pay you $25, $50, I'm not sure exactly what it is, per square foot that you convert from turf to drought-tolerant plants in your yard, because then you don't ever have to water them. And they highlight them on their websites. My idea in the long term, you guys can help advocate for it one day, is that we do this at Cal State Long Beach. We take out the turf that's here, and we convert it to a native garden, so that we're a poster child on their website for how we do this. One day. Yeah.
Wasn't St. Sylvia also trying to set up a community garden at some point? It was...
Yeah, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
Try hard,
What?
try hard.
Yeah, no, it don't happen one day, it's just a matter, there's attitudes to change that some of the drought tolerant plants aren't the prettiest. It's totally not true, you just have to choose them well. So being a plant person, mine is that you can use California native coastal sage scrub and create beautiful gardens that are both drought tolerant and native. In addition, they have these report a water waster. They even have a phone app. If you're walking by someone's house and there's just water flowing across the sidewalk or they're watering at noon, you can report them. Enough violations and they'll send someone out to the house. They also have, I don't know if you've looked at the billboards around, they've done cool billboards where, they have tattoos of "Don't be a waster" tattooed on people's knuckles. And that was a public contest where they asked students and citizens to contribute these water waster and pro-conservation billboards, and all aimed at educating the citizens for permanent reduction in the amount of water use that we have here in Long Beach. There's lots of other examples of it, where you're teaching kids about sustainability and things like that, but this plugs it into the existing utility system as well. So that is all I had for you guys. Lots of information. I will send the PDF so you can have it. Would you have any questions? My last plug too is if you are looking for sustainability jobs, Long Beach Water Department, I don't actually work for them, I'm just advocating for them. But they do have intern positions, and a lot of our CSULB students and grads have interned there. So if you're interested in these sort of questions, look on their website, they have some positions for this. Yeah.
What's your opinion on golf?
On golf,
Yes.
I'm a horrible golfer.
No, no, it's sport.
I know. I think that turf golf courses are a waste of water.